All I have to do is find a hole in her logic. Once I do, I can then present her with the evidence that proves the contradiction. Oh! About that. Pressing someone's testimony nod, I gain some time to think. You're a real one-trick pony, aren't you? It's too bad your trick only works on fools. That wasn't my intent. I simply wish for more details as to how Mr. Faraday ended up on top of Mr. Rell. Someone's impatient. I was just about to explain everything to you. So do you think you could hold on for a minute? Francisca, I'll make you a deal. I'll hold on if you hold on to that whip of yours. Well, I'll hold on to it, alright, as I whip you. Jesus. Well, now that you've quieted down a bit, I'd like to continue if you don't mind. Just press everything. The two fell on top of each other. Don't you find that just a bit strange? Not at all. I can see it in her eyes. She's dead set against me from the bottom of her heart. Miles Edgeworth, once I'm done here, you'll see that there's nothing strange at all. Now then, the two men fell into a pile. So what do you mean by they attacked each other at the same time? I assume Mr. Faraday had the two different weapons in his hands. That guy is so ugly too. He made to attack Mr. Rell while holding both the knife and revolver, and then, after Mr. Faraday fired the gun, Mr. Rell grabbed the knife as he was falling and stabbed Mr. Faraday. That is how Mr. Rell wound up on the bottom with Mr. Faraday on top. At close range, that is more than possible. But how would you explain, like, the no... what's it called? Gunpowder burn or something? It's something like that. There's no burn marks, which would have been the case if it was shot from close range. It's possible, but... well, if you have any other ideas, then show me what you've got. Oh, I will. And to that extent, I'd like for you to append what you just said to your testimony. I don't see any point to that, but as you please. That they attacked each other and at the same time from close range. Right, okay. Bullet that killed Rell was fired from a few yards away. Do you believe they killed each other at close range? Sorry, but that's impossible. Just as it is written in the crime scene notes, the firing of the handgun did not leave a gunpowder burn on Mr. Rell's clothes. So it is a gunpowder burn. Therefore, Mr. Rell and the gun must have been separated by a distance of at least 2 or 3 yards. Oh! Yeah! Yes, this is by far the biggest contradiction. The two bodies are piled up on each other, yet the gun was fired from a distance. With there being no chance that Mr. Rell moved that far after being shot. That leaves only one possible explanation. What a completely foolish line of foolish thought from a thoroughly foolish fool. If I'm not right, then who was it that made the first move with the intent to kill, huh? Who? The person that attacked first with the murderous intent, that would be... neither. Here in this room, contradictions appear no matter which men we claim attacked first. Thus, there can be only one explanation. There was a third person here. It was that third person who killed both Mr. Faraday and Mr. Rell, and set their bodies up to make it look like a double murder. That third person is the real culprit. Miles Edgeworth, there's just one thing you're missing. Evidence, correct? Exactly. Everything you've said up until now is nothing but a story played out in your head. However, this is where the real test begins. Can you prove that there was a third person involved in this crime? Of course. If a third person was truly here, that fact would resolve the glaring contradiction. The proof that this has all been a setup made to look like they killed each other. I'll present it, and lay bare the final piece of the puzzle that's not yet in place. What is the piece of evidence that proves there is a third person involved? I'd go with the handgun, I think. It doesn't say which hand, though. I'll still go with the handgun, but I wish that would have said found in his right hand, because we know that Faraday's left-handed, so if someone was setting it up, they'd put it in the wrong hand, because they wouldn't know what... I'm assuming they wouldn't know what handed the person is. The gun in Mr. Faraday's hand and the plastic bag with his blood on it. Ow. These two items point to the presence of a third person. How so? Recall Detective Gumshoe's testimony. Oh, wait a minute. Are they suggesting what I'm thinking? I was in the hallway the whole time, but I didn't hear a single peep of a struggle. If there wasn't a struggle in this room, then there shouldn't be any plastic bags on the ground. Oh, okay, never mind. I thought it was saying it like they used the plastic bag to muffle the gun. It was very stupid for me to think, 'cause I'm like, a plastic bag would not, muffle anything. Meaning that someone else must have deliberately scattered them around. Do you not see the possibility in this? Disregarding the gun for the moment, there's a high probability of blood spatter when a knife is used on a person. If the culprit held the knife with a plastic bag around it, they could use the bag to catch any blood splatter from when they withdrew the knife. Then by spreading a few more plastic bags around, mixing the bloody one in with them, and arranging the room to make it look like there was a struggle between the two, they were able to conceal their presence. Oh. Okay. Looks like we've still got a long way to go in this investigation. Yes. Oh god. Ew, she sounds so gross. Objection. What the heck's up with you, pal? Mr. Bad, I advise you to place Detective Gumshoe under arrest. What? What's the meaning of this? Looks like you're not man enough to discipline your own subordinates. I don't know why I read disciple. Don't you dare. That detective claims he was there standing in front of the door the entire time. But I've on good authority that was all a giant lie. Miss Yu, I ask that you please explain that last statement. I'll let His Honour explain it himself. I saw it with my own eyes, I tell you. During the recess, there was a period of time when there was no one in the hallway. What? See, Mr. Bad? So I ask you, why would a detective who was supposedly doing his job the whole time want to fabricate such a lie? Gumshoe? Did you kill Faraday? No. Of course not, sir. It would appear that the one who set this whole crime scene up is that detective, which basically renders his testimony a complete lie and wholly invalid. It looks like your perfect logic has just come tumbling down, Miles. I was in the hallway the whole time, but I didn't hear a single peep of a struggle. Is that statement really a lie? Detective Gumshoe, you are now a suspect in the murder of 2 men. Now spit out the truth or so help me. Oh dear. He'll get the mirror out. I haven't lied to anyone, sir. Honest. I really was there. I was in the hallway the whole time. Detective Bad, I ask that you please do not act without my permission. After all, I am the one that is heading up this investigation, am I not? Don't talk like you know what's going on, boy. All I want is for this investigation to run perfectly. Perfection is the only wish of a disciple of Von Karma, after all. Therefore, before you take Detective Gumshoe into custody, I'd like to set the record straight on something. Oop. And what's that? What should I ask Detective Gumshoe about? Motive. I suppose that the one thing I'd like clarified is Detective Gumshoe's motive for committing this crime. Motive, huh? Gumshoe, you got a grudge against Faraday or anything? No, sir. Not me, not a single bad thing against Mr. Faraday, sir. Is that a fact? Ew, I hate her voice. Detective. You really have a problem with lying, don't you, Detective Gumshoe? I'm telling you, I am not lying. The more natural you act, the more suspicious you become, you know. If you want a motive, Edgeworth, I have one for you right here. Could you please share it with us? However, be forewarned that I won't hesitate to object to flights of fancy. Because all I'm interested in is the perfect explanation. Oh god. You're serious, aren't you? Fine. You amuse me, so I'll humour you with with a little courtroom practice. Ah, bloody hell. Gumshoe's motive. It was about a week ago. I saw the detective get chewed out by a livid Faraday in front of the precinct. He stood there super pale as Mr. Faraday yelled, "That's a salary cut for you, you nitwit." A brand new detective suddenly getting his salary cut. That's reason enough for a grudge. Well, how's that for the perfect explanation? You totally misunderstand me, pal. No matter how mad I get, I can never hold a grudge. Quiet. We can't trust anything you say. There's nothing wrong with the motive she proposed, per se. But there are some gaps in her logic that need to be filled in. Monsieur's perfect explanation may not be so perfect after all. A week ago? Then you and Detective Gumshoe are acquaintances? No way. I only met him in person today. Then how do you know, or how did you know about Detective Gumshoe? Oh, I've seen him around before. Mr. Faraday was upset? Yeah, you know what else? Mr. Faraday isn't exactly known to get angry often. Oh, there he was, totally beat red in the face. And the offending detective just stood there pale as a ghost like he was about to die. Just like the face he's making now, right? I'm completely innocent, I tell you. The poor man. Oh god. It was quite the scene with the detective. I'll bet. You just stood there watching this unfold in front of you? Yeah. I have to say it was really enjoyable too. But that's why when I saw Detective Gumshoe earlier, I knew to steer clear of him. No way. I thought it was because I had something stuck on my face. But you do. Huh? What have I got stuck on my face? Let's start with your eyes, nose, mouth... Oh. And those ridiculous eyes, or eyebrows. Huh? Oh man, messing with your head is just too much fun. Monsieur, if you don't mind, I'd like to return to your testimony now. Yeah, stop tormenting Gumshoe. Sure, why not? To cut a new detective's salary right off the bat like that. I'm not really familiar with the way you guys relate, but is that a common practice? Speaking of cutting my salary, didn't you threaten to do that to me earlier too? I did, yeah. I suppose I did. It's only natural to cut a worthless detective's salary down to their actual worth. My father can even fire anyone, who are old, with a snap of his fingers. You think maybe that's reason enough for detectives to hate you people? Well, I guess they really shouldn't cut people's pay. Detective Bad, don't tell me Ms. Von Karma cut your salary earlier. Oh, right. You call your explanation perfect. Is it not to your liking? Quite the opposite. Unfortunately for you, it's just not up to my standards. Oh, is there something you want me to clarify in that case? What should I do? Should I raise an objection? Raise an objection! Now, if you could clear this one thing up for me. How he was killed, motive for killing Mr. Rel, Faraday and Gumshoe's relation. Motive for Mr. Rel. Because she only explained it for Faraday. I understand Detective Gumshoe's potential motive for killing Mr. Faraday. However, what about his motive for killing Mr. Rel? His motive for killing Rel? Like I would know. If there was no clear motive for both of the murders, then I doubt this incident would have occurred. Wouldn't you agree? Is there anything or anyone else who might have had a grudge against either of the two men? Or should we look into that ourselves? Oh, in that case, I have absolutely no idea. What? But that's impossible. She must know something. Wait. Can you please not glare at me like that? It makes me laugh. I didn't even do anything and you're already laughing away. Well, anyway, the way I see it, as long as he had a motive to kill one of the two, his crime would have played out the way it did anyway. Oh, would you care to explain your logic? And this time, please try to provide a truly perfect explanation. Perfect this, perfect that. Stop being so uptight. Or is that a requisite trait for being a Von Karma? Miles Edgeworth, I demand that you shut this rude woman up. I wish you'd both be quiet for just 1 second. Oh well, I guess I'll just have to explain it to you kids. Motive to kill the men. There's no one out there with a motive to kill both Mr. Faraday and Mr. Rel. All you really have to establish is that someone had a grudge against one of the two men. Mr. Rel, who happened to be there, became a witness to Mr. Faraday's murder, therefore he was killed out of necessity and set up to look like they had killed each other. Is there no one out there with a grudge against both men? Should take another hard look at the evidence for this morning's case. The second KG8 incident, as people are calling it, involving an embassy staff member. The two men are both wound up as suspects in this case. Is there someone else I'm overlooking who is somehow related to them? I mean, I would guess one person. There's only one person that's actually related, which would be her. Because of her sister, I'm guessing. Monsieur, I believe there is someone you overlooked in making your statement. Or rather, is it because you'd rather not bring this person up? What do you mean? We are looking for someone with a reason to kill both Mr. Faraday and Mr. Rel. I can think of at least one person that fits the bill. He was the suspect in the original KG8 incident. Manny Cochin! Not her! Oh. I just assumed it was her because of her sister. Which makes no sense because her sister was a victim and it wasn't them two that killed him. Her, even. And a member of the Cadopian embassy staff, Mr. Manny Cochin. That's right, the very man who came to visit you earlier out in the hallway. The man who killed a member of the Cadopian embassy staff, Mr. Rel. And the man who was the lead prosecutor of the KGA incident, Mr. Faraday. You're telling me that Mr. Cochin has no reason at all to kill both of these men? Well, I suppose he might have a reason or two. You covered for me, pal. Maybe you're not such a bad guy after all. Don't get ahead of yourself. You're still a suspect, make no mistake about that. The perfect evidence, the perfect testimony, these are the only things I wish to hold. But I didn't do it. You will stay under my authority and go investigate Mr. Manicochin for me. And remember, I will not be very forgiving. I don't know what happened. You want to investigate Kojin? You'd just be wasting your time. And why is that? Kojin was up in the viewing gallery, watching the trial. Or so I was told. Every cop in this place has been keeping an eye on the guy since he arrived. And the only real suspect we have is still Detective Gumshoe. I suppose so. No way, come on Detective Bad. You gotta believe me, sir. I really was in that hallway the whole time, sir. I never took a single step into this room, sir. Okay then. Then are you saying there was someone else who passed through the hallway? No, there was no one else, sir. I like Bad's theme. Then why should I believe you didn't do it? Now it's one incredibly foolish detective, standing right in front of a crime scene, all by himself. It's as good as a confession of guilt. I have to admit, it's a bit strange. Most criminals will fabricate some sort of lie to escape their crimes. And if that detective really wanted to prove that he is innocent, you think he would, at the very least, offered up I spaced out while on duty or the like. Come on, Gumshoe, time for your interrogation. Oh no! Detective Bad. There he goes. At least he's not being dragged away, like in the previous case. Miles Edgeworth, I'll go on ahead and report this to Papa. And that, as they say, is that. Right, everyone? They're like, ho ho ho. Okay, so we can now talk to you. Well, I suppose we should both be getting back to our real jobs now, huh? Before we do, Miss Yu, there is something I'd like to speak with you about. What is it? Oh, she's laughing again. So can we actually find out, like, what her relation is? To have set these two men up and make it look like they killed each other. If there's one thing I cannot forgive, it's the desecration of the dead. Oh. I didn't actually want to do that, I wanted to speak with her. So what did you want to ask me about? The KGA incident. The current case of the murdered Kodopian embassy staff member. I've heard that people have begun calling it the second KGA incident. Only among you law enforcement types. And what about it? I'd like for you to tell me everything you know about the original KGA incident. I'm afraid I can't help you. I don't know anything beyond what was reported in the papers. No, I believe you know much more, since you are directly tied to the KGA incident. I'd appreciate it if you'd stop with the false accusations. Baseless outbursts are useless, both inside and outside the courtroom, don't you know? I do, but I also know that I do have a leg to stand on here. Oh my god. Think you can stop making that ultra-serious face in front of me? If you could please stop laughing for just 1 second. I'm not going to make any headway like this. I'm just gonna have to show her exactly how related to the KGA incident she is. Okay, so present this. Miss Yu, I believe that I have proof of your connection to the KGA incident. That foul is your proof? Very well then. Why don't you tell me exactly how I'm related to the KGA incident? Through the victim. Your connection to the KGA incident is through the victim. The victim's name is CCU. You will note that she has the same last name as you. Can you really still tell me with a straight face that you are not related to this case? Oh dear. Sorry, but we're not related. Just kidding. You asked that question with such a serious look on your face that I couldn't help but be a dick. Miss Yu, I ask that you please tell me the truth. Alright, I'll tell you everything I know. So the KGA incident, as you guessed, the one who reported the smuggling activities of the Amano group was my sister, CCU. Okay, I was right. As I thought. and she was killed right before she was to testify at the impending trial by Manny Kojin. But because he was tried once and was acquitted, he gets to live out the rest of his cushy life completely carefree. All because of a lack of evidence. No, I heard that the evidence to convict him did exist. What? I heard it from Mr. Faraday himself after Mr. Kojin's trial was over. Apparently a man in black made off with the most important piece of evidence. Then the evidence had been tampered with? Isn't it just like a criminal to do something like that? The smuggling ring being run out of the Amano group by one of its secretaries. They bailed Mr. Kojin out. Turns out they were in league with each other all along. How big was that smuggling ring? Was it a large operation? I don't really know. Which is why I wanted to become the lead defense. On this case, the people are calling the second KG8 incident. But I haven't learned anything new at all. I was probably expecting too much, I know. You mean, you think this case has nothing to do with the smuggling ring? I don't know what to think. Manny Kojin. Why did Mr. Kojin want to meet with you earlier? Actually, he came to watch the trial. Apparently he only found out that I was the defense lawyer on this case after he'd arrived. He figured he should say hi, and one other thing. Looks like you couldn't resolve anything this time either. Too bad. What's that supposed to mean? Oh boy, stop with the scary face already. I'm fine, really. I gave him a good slap across the face. The way she talks about slapping him as she laughs away is kinda creepy. But it's just as Mr. Bad said. He's not related to the double murder. I asked around, and the people in the gallery claimed that he was in his seat the entire time. Talk about cruel fate. Well, this is about all I know. Sorry. Guess I wasn't much help, huh? That's not true. I'm sorry I made you recall such a painful time in your life. Oh dear. Edgeworth, you really are too serious for your own good. You really need to learn to relax. We wouldn't want you to die of stress, would we? So thank you for the advice, but there's no need to worry. I work in my own way, and I will catch this criminal in my own way as well, you'll see. Oh my god. Look at you with your game face on, ready to go. I'm making no such face. Did you know? Laughter's the best medicine, Edgeworth. Don't you get tired of making such a serious face all the time? I'm charged with making sure that all the criminals of this world are found guilty. I have no need for laughter. There you go, making that face again. Oh well. I've got to get going. I still have a few loose ends I need to tie up. Lots of dots. The KG incident and this murder investigation. It is my belief that these two cases are related to each other somehow. Plus, that detective, Detective Gumshoe. It's obvious he's lying, even though the lie is hurting his chances. Clearly this case is far from over. But whether or not that detective is the murderer can only be determined once I've completed my perfect investigation. Mr. Von Karma, I swear to uphold your honourable name. Or my name is Miles Edgeworth. End of chapter. To be continued! Yeah! Wow, that was actually just the beginning and it took an hour and a half. Definitely took longer than I thought it would have. By a long shot. I'm actually going to end the session here, but I'll wait to see where it puts us. Where are we? Oh! We're just outside. Someone's using a... What? Or has that sprung a leak? Like, what is that dude doing on the left? At first I thought it was like washing his hands in a fountain, which was very confusing. And then I noticed that the water's like spouting out, so it looks like it's broken. How good. Either way, I was actually hoping to do like the beginning and the middle of this case in this session, but it seems they're actually quite long. So like the beginning and the middle might just be one session each. And I might try and do both of the end parts in one session, but it all really depends how long it takes. Either way, that is going to be the end of the session. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed. And until next time, take care.